Hello, this is John with Theology Ed. All right, this will be the next part of the IPG2 Explained series, and we're also going to get into Leave the World Behind a bit as well. All right, so IPG2 has been posted again on the Heliofant channel. That was on February 5th, a couple days ago. There's some changes, thanks to comments just pointing this out. We have some French in the description. Apparently, that's new. I had not paid attention before or this time until someone mentioned it, but the translation of it is the fire in the heart of suffering. Now, you might wonder, why was this posted again, right? And what's being communicated here? Because it was pulled just last year in September. In fact, it was pulled 1 month before the war in the Middle East began between Hamas and Israel. Now, and that was pulled with another video that they had posted, and they did not repost at this point, which I think it was sort of a mysterious video posted at the beginning of the summer last year. I don't remember exactly when, but maybe June or whenever. But it was up for a few months, and I think the real meaning of that one, primary meaning and significance of that one, was the SOS. Save our souls, and that points to this whole, things are getting dangerous, and it seems like getting close to the big stuff happening, and that's not probably accidental and coincidental that those were pulled 1 month before that conflict began. So the significance of this being posted again at this point is worth exploring, right? We should be looking into that. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you what I suspect it could be hinting at here, okay? I don't think it's, and here's the thumbnail, right? We have this, we have the girl's face looking at the no nuclear, and then the heart here. And of course, Skullduggery is going to blow his, party, whatever, gadget at her nuclear cheek, the no nuclear cheek. And I think this is gonna match the chronology in some other places, and I'm gonna show you what I think. But the fire in the heart of suffering in IPG2, we do have the Rahor Kuit character, who some people call the Jesus-like guy, but that's not what he is. He's not Jesus, of course. But excuse me, I'm not feeling great, but we have a little fire in the heart here. And this fire at the beginning is non-existent to then just starting to appear at around the 2-minute 40-second mark of the film. And what we'll see is once it appears, we get the conflicts beginning in the Middle East, some market issues, and then we see this. It looks like almost like an eclipse. This bird or whatever flying up, blocking the view of the mosque and the little sun eclipse there. And then the fire in the heart is totally going, and it's consuming everything. It's a symbol of peace being taken and conflict and war taking off. Then, right after this is really going, once peace is destroyed, we see what looks like the dancer backing up and sliding back with the red light on the page, okay, on the screen. Let me go ahead and make that a little bigger so you can see it. And you can see the light reflecting off the mask and everything. He's going to slide back in his dance like a blast has happened. And it does look like that, and in the context it fits, with the peace being destroyed. Okay, and so what comes after that? I think the climactic scene, and I think this whole fire in the heart of suffering could be indicating that we're in this sequence right here and going to approach this climactic part. I'm not sure of that, but I'm going to tell you a few reasons why it's possible. One, we get to the scene, and the timestamp at the climactic moment, I think, when it looks like this ISIS character is performing her magic and successfully leading this blast. Also looks like you have sinking aircraft carriers whatever you think those are. Okay, maybe an island split like La Palma, or there's lots of possible explanations here. But it's at the 314 moment. That 314 moment is, I think, indicating the pi event, whatever it is. And at the beginning here, when we see the shot taken by Skullduggery at this cheek, it comes from where? The pi attack, pi face, 314. So we get the 314 hint, possibly here. Sorry about all the noise from the streets. Here, okay, in the thumbnail. We're getting the fire in the heart of suffering, which is the sequence of events, I think, leading up to the right here, where the fire is really taking off, and then you get the blast and the scene, which again I think is going to point to 314. And I believe the thumbnail originally was this one. It's been a long time since I've given that any thought, but correct me if I'm wrong. And so I think those two scenes are sort of pointing to the same moment. This also could be pointing to, people have pointed this out lots of times, and we talked about before as well, but it does have a resemblance to the Super Bowl trophy, the Vince Lombardi trophy, whatever, where you have a stand in the arm and like a football-shaped head on top of it. Okay, perhaps this happens because if you look at the sequence here, there you get this image of the weeping Isis with the dead Harpocrates, which is another version of aspect of the of Horus, and then her magic, which is going to resurrect Harpocrates, it takes off here, I think. So you get this alignment shifting. Her hand was sort of sliding across the screen the way it looks, and it's exactly at 314 that we get it underneath the blast. So perhaps that's when that takes off. Now, this whole idea of 314, I'm going to go ahead and show you. We've talked about pi, and of course pi is 3.14. It's a Greek letter used in math to represent the number 3.14, 159 or something like that. And if you look at it here, let's go ahead and take a look. We have two pi dates that come up in predictive programming that could be important if they're dates. And I think it is pointing to dates. It could also be pointing to the Chairman Pi. We've talked about that before, and the 5G involvement and everything that's going on. He was the one that pushed the C-band of the 5G into the U.S., so it's used throughout the U.S. now. We also have Pi Day, and we have the possibility of a Pi variant, which would be after Omicron. But I think that's sort of in the Pyrola, which turned into a little nothing, but maybe there'll be something still. But let's keep going. Excuse me. So here we have one Pi option, the March 2025, March 14th, Pi eclipse. It's a total lunar eclipse. It's the next total lunar eclipse. It is depicted also in, I think pretty unequivocally, in Leave the World Behind. In Leave the World Behind, we have this scene that takes off here, where there's this conversation between the George and his daughter, GH, and the conversation goes on about you can't trust. She's like trying to get him not to trust white people or other people in general, but especially white people. And she explicitly says that, so it's not just me saying it. Trust should not be doled out easily to anyone, especially white people. Even Mom would agree with me on that. It's like, I got it. Do you? Because we're sleeping in the basement of our own house for the second night in a row. Just what exactly was the point of letting them back in the house? And he says it was the right thing to do. And that right there, that's what's going to screw us in the end, is what she says. And right after we get this sort of notification that they're going to be screwed in the end, we turn and we see from the moon's perspective an eclipse. Okay, and it goes all the way down to get you'll get the sort of ring of fire. Okay, so it's a total lunar eclipse. If you're on Earth's perspective, that's the angle you would get. Perspective you get a lunar eclipse because the sun's on the other side and the shadow of the Earth would be cast on the moon. That's how they would explain that, right? Okay, and so they're trying to depict here a total lunar eclipse. That's the March 2025 eclipse, almost guaranteed. March 14th, 2025 eclipse, almost guaranteed. We also saw that in that movie with the two pandas. I forgot the name of it. Turning Red or whatever. Where there's the big panda and the small panda, and the big panda basically is taken out when? And by what? When the little panda moons her, the red moon, okay? Which I think is pointing to the lunar eclipse in 2025, which is going to be significant. So that could be all Pi Day is pointing to all the way up to that one. However, I think there are indications, and of course, see, there's the ring of fire they show, the ring of fire from the moon's perspective, and then the world's on its side. Like New York City, the cameraman's angle of New York City when it was destroyed, being destroyed, basically cars and the bridges and everything smoking and whatever. It looked like it was under attack. They showed it sideways. Here we get this sideways, like the whole world, even their house is being turned sideways at this point. That's after this eclipse. Now, if we want to look at what's going on this year, though, I think possibly there are indications that March 14th, 2024 are important. Now, let me go ahead and show you that. Now, first off, remember the sequence in IPG2 here has the June 21st, 2020 eclipse depicted here, right? We have the yin-yang or whatever, and we have a little bit of yang, I think is how it was. I forgot how to just with the little bit is the little sun outside, and so there's not even any little sun, and it's being swallowed up by this. This is a representation of an eclipse. We've talked about that at length, and it was representing that particular eclipse with the symbol out here as well, right? So we have the eclipse with the dot, which we saw in many places, representing that. Now, we also have seen that it seems like there's a second representation, the second use of that for the October 2023 eclipse. But here we have the June 21st eclipse. This was very helpful to let us see when China took Hong Kong. Then we saw, we were able to predict that, if you want to call it a prediction. We speculated that was a possible thing that could happen, and that was made before, in many videos before this date, based on that. Then we have the diamond ring effect eclipse in the hands of Skullduggery, who will make the way he does it like an archer. So this is an eclipse in Sagittarius, and that was the December 14th, 2020 eclipse, the eclipse that came after that. He keeps going back. All this was preparatory. His hand is pulling back still. Then we got another Sagittarius eclipse. That was the December 4th, 2021 eclipse, the fourth of the 5 major eclipses, total solar eclipses that are featured repeatedly in all their predictive programming. Okay, that was December 4th, 2021. That's when things change direction and we go towards the attack, which would take off in the year of the tiger. But on the way, between December 4th and the beginning of the year of the tiger, February 2022, there was a pause. It's like nothing happened. You expected it to happen. It didn't happen. Then at the beginning of the year of the tiger, you get your strike, and that was February 2022. We had this in videos before this happened. That was when Russia and Ukraine began their conflict in February 2022. That's when that war began. Okay? Then we have people against the war and all of this and the blasts taking off until finally what happens? The shot. The pie shot at her cheek. Say, letter pi. There's the pi in Greek. Okay, and the shot is being taken at that cheek. We didn't get another eclipse in there, which would mean that this could be the pi date before the 5th eclipse, which would be the April 8th, 2024 eclipse. If that's the case, then we're getting close to something around the pi date of 2024, which would be somewhere in March 2024, which again, just like they pulled the video 1 month before the war took off in the Middle East, maybe they posted it 1 month before the big events in March. I'm not sure. Then we also had that Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Okay, and the Ten Rings should be a giveaway. There's some hints of talking about the eclipses, and they do. And he goes, and we talked about this at length in my videos in my series on that movie, which was very interesting, the movie for predictive programming. He goes and gets this rabbit skull, which I think is symbolizing the buckaroo eclipse. Okay, he takes this, throws it out the window. So there's your June 2020 eclipse again, the annular eclipse. Breaks the window here, and he's going to go over, and here's what we get. He crosses in front of the eclipse, or the light. This is going to function like the sun. He's going to eclipse it once, December 14th, 2020. Eclipses it again, December 4th, 2021. And we get the same sequence. Then you get this explosion. This thing explodes over here. And then down falls what? 3, 1, 4. And it comes out as 1. You see that one first. 5. But it's also a 24. March 14th, 2024, possibly. Or just March 14th, or just pi for other possible reference. But see, here it is in action. So watch. He's going to cross over. That's that second eclipse. There's the blast that comes after the conflict begins after that in 2022. Then we get 3, 1, 4, 24. But watch how that second die enters the picture, because we get, it's interesting. It's cleverly done. 1, and then you get all 5. 3.1415 is pi. But they're taking the 1, 5 and making it also a 2, 4, 24. And so we could be getting an indication that the conflict takes off before that. And then this is when you're starting to get close to climactic events there. If that's the case, then what we're looking at possibly coming up in the next month or so would be the events depicted here. So we might get, I'm not saying, this isn't a prediction in any way, shape, or form, just a possible explanation of what's coming, maybe, is we could have something related to Super Bowl, if this represents Super Bowl, could be this one. Okay, maybe some domestic events. I'm not going to even get into that, but there's a number of possibilities. Who knows? Could be an ISIS, blame on the terrorists type of thing, or Iran, or whoever. Okay, or it may not have anything to do with the Super Bowl itself. It may just be around the date of the Super Bowl. Maybe you get something like an attack on a ship over in the Middle East. Maybe it's a successful strike on an aircraft carrier or something. Who knows? Okay, and then the subsequent events here in March. That's not a promise, of course, very speculative, but you see how there's a repeating pattern. It could point to 2024, but these dates are kind of funny. It could also point to 2025, because that's when the actual eclipse happens, and we do see explicit pi eclipse symbolism in very important places here, and also in that turning red, which we've talked about. All right, so that's what I have for now. So it is very interesting that IPG2 has been reposted. I have not taken the time to carefully watch the video from start to finish to see if there's any subtle little changes. I don't believe there are, but it can't hurt to look. And that's all I have to say. All right, take care, like, subscribe, share, and all that good stuff. Blessings.